Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Wait for everybody to get in the room. And I'll just ask you guys to mute yourselves if you could. And obviously, if you have questions, you can unmute, but go ahead and mute for now. And I would just love to, I would love to know where everybody is tuning in from. If you could just type in the chat where you're tuning in from tonight. You guys can find the chat button. I think I see a couple familiar names. That's exciting. Also, so if you could please let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And also, if you could please let me know if you can see my screen. Feel free to unmute if you want to, or type into the chat that you can see the screen. British Columbia. Hi, Christina. That's amazing. El Paso. Wow, I got some people from quite a ways away. Welcome, you guys. Happy to have you here. Okay, so you can see my screen. Fantastic. Andrews, Texas. All right. Welcome, everybody. All right. So excited to have you all here with me tonight. So yeah, so it is a little late for you guys over on the other side of the country. So let's go ahead and jump in, and I'll try to keep an eye on the waiting room to let other people in as they arrive. But let's go ahead and just jump right in. I hope you have things a pen and paper to write some notes down. You will get the recording, so don't worry about taking notes too furiously because you will get the recording. But I do think that you learn better when you're really engaged and when you are taking notes in the moment. So have some things to write, some stuff down. We're gonna really get into nitty-gritty, into just some really practical things that you can be doing in your day-to-day life to improve metabolic health. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on kind of going into like the science and all of that, because I just really want to provide practical stuff for all of you. So yeah, so fixing your metabolism. And I always like to tell people, you deserve to feel amazing. Everybody deserves health. Everybody deserves to find and achieve and have lasting health, and you totally can. And I have taken people through my program who had pretty much given up hope that they would ever lose weight and establish metabolic health and get off blood pressure medications and so forth. And they were able to do all of those things. So I am Angie Gallagher. I'm a national board certified functional medicine wellness coach. I got my certification through the Institute of Functional Medicine at the Cleveland Clinic. I'm also American College of Sports Medicine, registered clinical exercise physiologist. My background is in cardiac rehab, so 25 years of experience working with heart and lung patients in a cardiac rehab setting. I'm a certified heart math practitioner. You can ask me later if you want to know what that means, but it really is. I have a practice of helping people establish balance in the nervous system, which is so key to health and so key to weight loss. I'm an avid trail runner, and even with all my trail running, I am a person with previous poor metabolic health. I did not know how much my diet and my eating habits were affecting my metabolic health. Even with all the running I was doing. So I have learned so much in my functional medicine training and working with 2 functional medicine doctors. And I just want to share all of what I've learned with all of you. And so also, if you do have questions along the way, if you want to raise your hand, you can raise your digital hand. And hopefully I will see it raised, and you can unmute and ask questions along the way, or you can wait until we get to the end of the presentation. Also, feel free to type into the chat if you have questions as well. Okay, I'm going to move some things around on my screen here. Okay, so what is functional medicine? So I like to just start off with explaining that, because that is my career now. I pivoted at the age of 50 and just got into a whole new career and something that I'm extremely passionate about. And so functional medicine is basically an approach to health where we really, really dive into the true root cause of chronic disease. So as a functional medicine coach, I don't diagnose, I don't treat disease. I help you establish lifestyle habits that oftentimes eliminate the disease process. So I help people establish good sleep habits, good diet habits, managing stress, improving and rebalancing their microbiome, eliminating toxins, reducing inflammation, improving digestion, all of those things so that they can have health and they can have, if you use the tree as an analogy, a healthy, vibrant tree versus a tree that's leaves are falling off as an analogy for when you're dealing with all these chronic conditions. So heart disease is the big one that I dealt with, but also lung disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, diabetes, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, fatty liver, dementia. All of these things are things that can be very effectively treated through functional medicine coaching. So what does it mean to have metabolic health? So metabolic health is basically a state of optimal functioning of your body's metabolism, including blood sugar regulation, having good energy production by your mitochondria, having a healthy lipid profile, which are your blood fats, having a healthy normal blood pressure, and having a normal healthy waist circumference. So we want to have balanced blood glucose. We want insulin sensitivity to be high, meaning you don't have to have high levels of insulin circulating through your system, which causes vascular damage. We want to have healthy mitochondrial function. We want normal cholesterol and triglyceride levels, normal low blood pressure without needing any medication, and having a healthy body composition. So some common misconceptions that I really want to clear up tonight. So it is really important to have an understanding that just being thin does not mean metabolic health. There are plenty of skinny fat people, which means basically that they're thin by appearance, but they've got a lot of visceral fat that's creating inflammation and driving disease, even though they're thin from the outside. Um, you need to eat frequent small meals to maintain high metabolism. Oh my gosh, we used to say this to people all the time. I remember saying this to people back when I was first starting my career in cardiac rehab, and this is actually not true. We actually need to give our body breaks from eating. We need long periods of time without food in our system so that our gut can heal and repair and reset. The only way to improve metabolic health is to exercise. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I've had so many people go through my program that lost significant amounts of weight and they didn't exercise at all. And that's not to say that exercise is not important. It truly is. However, I've had people where there were various reasons why they could not exercise and they still lost significant amounts of weight and improved their energy and how they felt dramatically. Fruit has too much sugar and should not be consumed if you're trying to lose weight or reduce blood sugar. Another wrong statement. And I used to say this to my cardiac patients, and I just cringe when I think of the things that I used to say. But fruit is actually a really important part of your diet. It has enzymes that help with digestion. It does not generally have as high of a glycemic index as many of the grains and processed foods that are making us sick. Exercise is more important than sleep. This is a tricky one because on occasion, if you skip an hour or two of sleep to exercise, it's going to be okay. And it may be something that you really need for your mental health, and you'd rather get that exercise, and you need to be in continuing a habit of exercise, or it's easy for you to kind of get off track, and so you really want to maintain that habit. On occasion, if you have to miss a little sleep, fine. But if you're chronically undersleeping so that you can get to the gym, this is a problem. And this is a real big reason why a lot of people are not losing weight, because they're burning the candle at both ends and their body is stressed. Anyone that's overweight is not metabolically healthy. Another misconception. There are plenty of people who are carrying some extra weight, but they are out there crushing it. They're running 100-mile races on the trails. Like, there's a lot of trail runners that are heavier, but that does not mean that they're not metabolically healthy. Would it be helpful if they lost a little bit of weight? Sure. But you can't just automatically look at someone that's carrying extra weight and say they're not metabolically healthy. The keto diet is the best way to improve metabolism. Wrong. The keto diet can have some short-term benefits, but it was never meant to be a way of life, and it really can be counterproductive in the long run for people because their body completely forgets what to do with a carbohydrate. They eat a carrot and they gain weight. So keto is not a long-term solution. If you are overweight, you're not exercising hard or long enough. This is the one that bugs me the most. I get so upset when I hear people tell me that this is what they're told. And there are doctors that are saying this to people, and oh, it makes me so mad because I have had so many clients come to me exercising like crazy, and they cannot get their weight to budge. And in fact, they're exercising too much. They're stressing their body too much, and the body's in a state of fight or flight, and it's not letting go of that weight. Here's an example of a couple of my clients that lost weight without exercise. So in Melissa's case, she was just really stressed with some work demand. She had a certification she had to study for. She was really feeling stressed about it. And so she did my program, and they both did my program, and they both just had a lot going on and really only had the bandwidth to do the diet piece. And they both lost, she lost over 80 pounds, he lost 40. And boy, they just did amazing. And he got rid of his acid reflux. She got off her blood pressure meds. They feel a million times better. And so just love, love, love seeing these kinds of results. Okay, so metabolic flexibility. So this is really what we're trying to establish. And when people come into my program, it's a big part of what we talk about is you want to have metabolic flexibility or metabolic resilience. And that's why the keto diet doesn't work, because the keto diet is basically making your body forget what to do with a carbohydrate. You're completely omitting an entire food group. We don't want to do that. We want the body to know how to burn all the macronutrients. And that's what my program does, is it's designed so that your body really figures out and becomes very flexible and resilient, and knowing how to get fat off of the body when it needs to for energy. So the ability to switch between burning carbohydrates and fats, to be able to target the fat that's stored on the body, that's a big part of metabolic resilience and flexibility. Helps you maintain normal energy, weight management, reduces the risk of metabolic disorders and chronic diseases. And when you have metabolic flexibility, you rarely get hangry. You can like even skip a meal and be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fine. Like I'll feel a little bit of hunger, but it'll pass and I'll be fine. And that means you have metabolic flexibility. I used to be that person that was like ripping people's heads off if I was like 15 minutes late to get my lunch. I was like so dramatic about it. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I mean, I fasted for days straight, and I understand, how the body really does adapt to that. Okay, so what does it mean? What does it feel like to be metabolically healthy? This is really what we're after, right? We want to feel amazing. We want to have unlimited energy. We don't want to be a slave to our cravings. We want to have stable mood and not be all over the place. We want to have good, restful, quality sleep. We want to be focused and have clarity throughout the day. We want our skin to glow. We don't want to look old. There's, as much as we want to, try to deny it, in many cases, there is a vanity component, because we want to put our best face forward. We want to have a healthy libido if we're in a relationship, or even if we're not. We don't want to feel that hangry, irritable sensation if we're late for a meal. We want to have healthy weight. We don't want to be getting sick often, and we don't want to be dealing with regular digestive issues, which are so, so common. And then on the opposite, if you do not have metabolic health, what does that feel like? Well, you're going to be fatigued all the time. You're going to have cravings, especially for sugar and carbs, because you get that quick little hit that makes you feel a little bit of energy surge, but then you just fall off the other side. You're going to have poor focus and concentration. Often you're getting sick. It's a struggle to maintain healthy weight. There's mood swings, low energy, depression. It may show up in your skin. You may feel like your skin is more dull, or you may have more wrinkles, more digestive issues, and feeling frequently burned out. So the impact of the processed foods. So really, like, this is a big culprit. And I don't like to be like demonizing things, demonizing foods and so forth, but truly processed foods and pastries and sugar and candy, like, they just don't have a place in a healthy diet. They just don't. And a lot of these are filled with toxins. And even if you're like, oh, but I only have it once a week. Well, once a week, you're putting toxins and poison in your body. And it's just, there's going to be a point where you just don't get past a certain level of healing, because you keep putting poison and toxin in your body. So we really have to get rid of these foods. They're high in sugar, they're high in unhealthy fats, which I'll talk more about. They have chemicals, fillers, thickeners, emulsifiers, all kinds of crap in them. This leads to toxic burden. Toxic burden means that our body has more toxins in it than it can process. And when the body is overloaded with toxins, what happens to those toxins? They get put into the fat tissue, because that's where the toxins get held and away from the vital organs. so that we can survive, right? So it's a mechanism of defense and survival, but that means that we have a hard time losing weight because the body's like, oh, we're not letting go of this fat because that's what's insulating all of those toxins away from the vital organs of the body. So we've got to get rid of the toxins. We've got to get rid of, we've got to, stop putting the things in and start getting the toxins out. Processed foods, they increase our insulin resistance. They promote fat storage. They disrupt our metabolic balance. They are terrible for the microbiome. They lead to all kinds of bacterial overgrowth and imbalance. And that's going to affect our hormones because hormones are very much affected by our microbiome. Our neurotransmitters, 70% of them are actually made in the microbiome. So that's going to mess with those, our dopamine and our serotonin. It's going to give us more cravings because when we have an imbalance of bacteria in our gut, oftentimes those bacteria are craving those carbs. The bacteria are feeding on those. So they have the craving and then they send those signals to our brain so that we then have the craving to feed those bugs. Processed foods have a terrible impact on the gut wall, causing increased membrane permeability. We also refer to that as leaky gut, which causes inflammation systemically, which leads to stress and then weight gain. It impacts the blood-brain barrier, increasing risk for dementia and Alzheimer's, also anxiety and depression and poor cognition and poor focus. And it impacts the adrenal glands and affects hormone regulation, promoting increased cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And when that's high, our body wants to hang on to fat. Okay. So what should it look like? What should we be eating? We're going to focus the rest of the time tonight on what do we want to be doing. So I'm hoping that you walk away with lots of nuggets and lots of things to put into practice. So I talk about a Mediterranean-ish diet. We used to talk about the Mediterranean diet in cardiac rehab all the time. And what people hung on to is that grains were a part of it. And in the typical Mediterranean, if you looked it up online, you would see whole grains. But the problem with that is people say, oh, whole grains are just fine. I'm going to continue eating my bread for my bagels for breakfast and my sandwiches for lunch and my pasta for dinner because grains are part of the Mediterranean diet. So it's all healthy. And we still have a problem. People can be eating that stuff and they don't lose weight. They still have issues with their gut. They still have issues with their blood pressure. So a Mediterranean-ish, and where I focus on, and this is what I focus on in my program where people are getting all kinds of results, seafood, grass-fed and pastured meats and poultry. So pastured means that it's beyond cage-free. So pastured means that they actually are living out in pasture. Cage-free just means they might be on a cement pad outside of a tiny little cage, but without access to actual real ground. So pastured is they're actually on the ground. They may be actually eating bugs out of the ground, which they're meant to eat. It's so funny when they say vegetarian fed chickens. They're not supposed to be vegetarian. They're supposed to eat bugs. Like, why is that a thing? So pastured meat, you want lots of veggies, lots of fruits, lots of nuts and seeds. This is where we want to focus. We want a low starchy carb or even a non-grain based diet. In many cases, when we take out a lot of those starchy carbs, we start to see improved insulin sensitivity, reduced blood glucose, reduced fat storage. So I'm recommending people have things like bread, pasta, tortillas, bagels, those kinds of things, less than 3 to 5 times per week. And many people are eating them 3 times a day. Many people have some kind of bread-like product for every single meal. I also tell people ideally it's gluten-free and not every single person 100% of the time responds negatively to gluten. But I can tell you in the 3-4 years that I've been practicing as a functional medicine coach, I would say 90% of people that go off gluten report pretty dramatic improvements in their health. Intermittent fasting, we'll talk more about what that means. Eliminating food sensitivity. So I work with a functional medicine doctor right now, and the 4 things that we take out when people first start working with us are gluten, dairy, sugar, and soy. This doesn't mean that those are forever, that people have to be off of them forever, but if they're coming to us with health concerns, with symptoms, we want to take out anything that could be a problem and then bring it back in once we've healed the body. There's also a component of eating for your own DNA. So we all come from different ancestral backgrounds and different regions of the world. And so we have DNA that predisposes us to eat, to do well with different types of diets. And you can, the most basic way to do this is to eat for your blood type. And there's a whole book on that. There's an app, I have it on my phone. And it seems to hold pretty true. Like when I eat things that are not part of the type A blood type diet, I have problems. I notice it. Like I just don't digest it as well. All right, we're going to dive in further here. So these are pictures sent to me by my clients. So I encourage people to send me pictures of their meals because they're so pretty and they're so colorful and they're so like just full of amazing food. And so these are what the meals look like in my program. This is what people are eating, this beautiful, colorful foods with lots of different vegetables and fruits and variety and different types of meats. I really encourage people to enjoy their food and make it kind of an art form so that it's a pleasure to the eyes as well as to the mouth. I just wanted to drop this case study in because as I was sharing those pictures, I've had people come through that were really stuck on like just having one vegetable for dinner and one fruit for lunch. And I have another testimony after this one that I'll share more about her, but I'm having people really broaden their horizons. And because of that, they're improving the health of their microbiome, which is so key for weight loss. So this gal, Lucy, she was a regular exerciser and a quote unquote healthy diet. She said, I'm a healthy eater. I don't know why I've all of a sudden struggled with weight gain. She was not obese, obviously, but she was carrying extra weight around her middle and extra weight in her back. She's like, I don't like the way my back looks when I put my bra on. Like, where did these extra fat rolls come from? And she was a regular exerciser and a swim coach. I mean, she was very into the fitness lifestyle. But she just needed to change the way she was fueling herself. And she did my program. She got 20 pounds off. She's kept it off to this day. I think it's been 9 months since she's worked with me. She feels amazing. Her blood sugar and insulin levels were not ideal. She got those into ideal range. She improved her gut and digestive health. She loves her meal planning and prep. She's got it just completely figured out and nailed. She's eating way more vegetables and fruits. She's reset her metabolism. Yeah, and went from a fruit and a vegetable per day to at least 10 different plant foods per day and usually more. So really fun to see that. And then here's another gal who's just, she had stubborn weight gain, and that was why she contacted me because she's just like, I'm doing everything to get this weight off. Why is it not coming off? And she can feel her waist again. She feels better, less bloated, more comfortable in her clothes. And nice to know that she can just get on a Zoom chat to check in with other people in the program or reach out to me for coaching along the way. Okay, so eating for metabolic health. So we talked about a little bit about this already. We're going to talk about each of these in more detail. So intermittent fasting, and we'll define that. Eliminating gluten, eliminating dairy or just A1 dairy, which we'll talk about what that means. Possibly going grain-free temporarily. So some of these things I'm not saying need to be forever, but they can be the thing that kickstarts you into resetting your metabolism. And then you can kind of figure out down the road, what feels like a good lifestyle. Eliminating industrialized seed oils, we'll talk about that, and increasing your protein intake. Okay, so what does intermittent fasting mean? So people get scared when they see the word fasting because they really feel like that's going to be scary and uncomfortable. It really just means that you're increasing or you're reducing your eating window. So many people are eating, and this was me. Okay, so I'll give you my story. So I was eating from the time I got to work in the morning, and I started work at 5:45. And I was getting so burned out on my job that I needed to do something for pleasure while I was there. And for me, it was eating. So I brought nuts and chocolate and dried fruit and all, energy bars and all kinds of protein bars. And I would bring them out and set them down next to the computer. And I would just snack literally all day. And I wasn't like overweight because I was running a lot, but I was eating from 5:45 in the morning, and then in the evening I was so stressed I would come home from work, I would have a glass of wine with my cheese and crackers, probably eat I don't know, 800 calories worth of cheese and crackers before I even had my dinner. Then I would have my dinner, and then I would have another glass of wine and chocolate, and I would nurse that until I went to bed. So I was literally eating from 5:45 in the morning until probably 10 at night. It's terrible. It was terrible. And I did not want to change that because that was my coping mechanism. That was how I dealt with a job that I hated and felt very alone and very misunderstood there because I was learning about all this functional medicine stuff and nobody was really getting on board with it and just kind of wanted to just do the old Western medicine thing. And so I was not metabolically healthy. My blood sugars were almost pre-diabetic. So I had to really rein that in. And so intermittent fasting basically means you shorten that feeding window. So you might start with getting it down to 12 hours. So it's basically that's not too hard. A lot of people are already doing that. So you eat from maybe 7 in the morning to 7 at night. And if that's something you're already doing, then you could shorten it a little bit more. Maybe go from 9 in the morning to 7 at night. So it's just shortening your feeding window. And we get people down to an 8-hour window at times. But that doesn't necessarily have to be, forever and ever or every single day. But just playing around with shortening that, because the more you do that, the more your body's learning how to burn the energy that's on your body. So if you have weight to lose, intermittent fasting is a great way to teach your body metabolic flexibility and teach it how to go after the fuel that you are actually carrying. So important that you're also doing some things to support your detox. I talk about all this in my program and we go into a lot of detail. I have a whole module on supporting detox because when you're losing weight, you are freeing up those toxins. Those toxins are now being liberated back into circulation because you're burning the fat that's been harboring them. And so you got to do things like, have a regular sweat, drink plenty of water, get plenty of sleep. Like these are all ways that we support our detox. Okay, so fasting is ancestral. We actually, our ancestors went out to hunt and gather in a fasted state. In many cases, they had eaten through everything they had, and they actually had to go out and chase after animals and go, forage for berries and, roots and whatnot in a fasted state because they didn't have anything left to eat. And we're so afraid of fasting in the society. And yet you can fast and you can even exercise fasted. You have to work up to that. You don't want to just like go do it tomorrow, but we need to learn how to come back to this place of metabolic flexibility and resilience. The benefits of fasting are numerous. I mean, there's just a ton of research on the benefits of fasting. Of course, weight loss, improved insulin sensitivity, reduced blood sugar. It allows our digestive organs to rest and repair. It improves our mental clarity, our cognition, memory, alertness. We generally sleep better. We can have better endurance. Our bodies learn how to be fat burning machines. It reduces cardiovascular risk. It's anti-cancer. So it allows our cells to repair. It allows our body to basically recognize when a cell is beyond repair and it programmatically kills it, gets that cell out and done. It allows for, again, detox, stem cell production with longer fasts. If you go at least 17 hours, you start to have stem cell production, which is part of a longevity. Improved gut health. So all of these things are really important benefits for fasting. And I tell people mindset is key. So if we just jump into it and we don't think about the mindset piece of this, it might be a little tricky. So I encourage people to go into it with a mindset of abundance and to think about, this is not punishment. This is not this is not me depriving myself. This is me giving myself the gift of healing. And that fasting is healing. I'm giving myself this gift. If you're feeling a craving, if you're feeling, I talk about mouth, brain, heart, and stomach eating. So mouth eating is eating for entertainment. Brain eating is eating to stay awake or stay focused. Heart eating is eating out of emotion. So if you're feeling like you're eating for one of those reasons, pause and just think about what's really going on. What do you really need? And then ride that crave wave. Just pause and don't give into it right away. And oftentimes the craving will pass and you'll be fine. I talk about having gratitude, really having gratitude for your meals and being 100% focused and present when you're eating them, because we eat so much of the time mindlessly. We're doing a million things and we're eating and we're working or we're eating behind the wheel and we're not really in it. We're not being present with it. And so when we're done, we haven't really fully experienced it. And so it's easy for us to be like, what's next? I want more. I want dessert. I want a snack. And so gratitude also for the whole foods that you're putting on your plate. Gratitude for what is growing naturally in the ground that you're putting on your plate and benefiting your health with. And then also thinking ahead and changing your belief system. So many people, and I was one of those people, like I couldn't have wine without chocolate, and I couldn't have coffee without chocolate. Or no, I couldn't have wine without cheese, and I couldn't have coffee without chocolate. And so you have to change your whole belief system, and you have to literally say it out loud like a mantra. Like I'm making this delicious meal. I'm going to enjoy it and not need anything afterward. If you're normally a dessert eater, I'm making this delicious coffee or tea. I can enjoy it all by itself. I don't need a pastry. I don't need chocolate. You have to literally change your belief systems and tell and repeat them to yourself. All right, eliminating gluten. Okay, so what is the deal with gluten? So gluten actually does disrupt the gut wall. It creates hyperpermeability in the cells in the space between the cells, which allows things to get through the gut wall and hit the immune system. And so the immune system is what creates the systemic inflammation. So gluten is in wheat, barley, and rye. It is not in any other grains. It's not in rice. It's not in oats. It's not in corn. It's just in these three grains. But there are some proteins in the other grains that can somewhat mimic the protein that is in gluten. So we have to be careful. There's disagreements about whether it's the gluten or whether it's other anti-nutrients. There are some people who say it's not the gluten, it's the lectins. There are people who say it's not the gluten, it's the glyphosate that's sprayed on the wheat crops. Some people say it's none of those things. It's how the grains are grown and harvested and how the bread is made. It's not fermented as long. There's people who say it's not even any of those things. It's just that we were never meant to eat that much grain. We're eating way too much grain, and that's why we've created this sensitivity. So there's lots of different theories out there. I think there's probably some credence to each of them. It's probably a little bit of all of them. And I will say that 90% of the time, people take it out of their diet, and a lot of things that they've been dealing with get better or go away altogether. Eliminating dairy or just go to fermented dairy. So dairy is a tricky one. It's one that if you are coming to me or coming to a functional medicine doctor and you have symptoms, you have gut issues, it is a good idea to remove it and just go completely dairy free, even fermented. Just give it all up for a little bit and then gradually bring it back in and bring it back in a very systematic way, starting with fermented and ideally fermented A2 dairy. So A2 and A1, I'm not sure if you guys know of this, but it is the type of casein. Casein, C-A-S-E-I-N, is a protein structure in dairy. So in many cases, people, it's not the lactose that they're intolerant to, although this is a big problem as well. So lactose intolerance is a big thing. We got to get it out of the diet if that's going on. But casein, it could be that you're responding to the A1 casein. A1 is in Holstein cows. As you know, in the United States, we are all about bigger, better, faster, more. And Holstein cows make a whole lot more milk in a whole lot less time than Jersey cows. Jersey cows are smaller brown cows. These are primarily used in European countries. So there's less milk. It's a smaller cow, less milk in a greater period of time. So it costs more. However, there are European countries that only use A2 because they know how important it is for the health of their people. So Italy, France, and Switzerland primarily only use Jersey cows or Guernsey. Guernsey are also small brown cows. There are some dairies in the States that are A2 certified dairies. So there's in Northern California, there's a couple. Alexandre is one, Cowgirl Creamery is one. The OSU Creamery here at Oregon State University in Corvallis, they have a dairy that's all A2. And I think there's one up in Washington. I'm not familiar with the rest of the country, but you could probably Google A2 dairies in my area. And if you struggle with dairy, it may be that it's the casein. If you have issues with your gut, milk may be contributing to that, and it may be that you need to take it out again, maybe just temporarily to heal your microbiome. So again, even if it's A2, we may want to take it out temporarily. If you have an autoimmune condition, we need to take dairy out altogether and then slowly reintroduce it using A2, and even better if it's fermented A2, so an A2 yogurt. Some people, it's an issue of digesting fat. So some people, especially if you've had your gallbladder removed, or if you have like gallbladder sludge or anything going on, you may have a problem digesting fats, and that may be the issue with the milk. And then people who have a high amount of stress, oftentimes they don't digest dairy well. So these are just some things to consider. All right, so try going grain-free. So as I mentioned earlier, the protein in other grains can have some molecular mimicry to the protein that is in gluten. And so the other thing is that a lot of the gluten-free items out there are full of junk. So a lot of the gluten-free breads and pastas, like there are some that are fine. There are some that are actually, you read the labels and everything's pretty clean, but there's a lot of junk. There's a lot of crap. So we got to be really careful if we're going gluten-free and then just like, oh, I'm having gluten-free muffins and gluten-free bagels and gluten-free tortillas. Like they can be just as bad, honestly, just as bad. So the proteins got to be careful. And some of the other grains have a high glycemic index. And if we're trying to lose weight, that's what we're trying to get away from. And people think oftentimes they think, well, if I'm not eating grains, how am I going to get fiber? In fact, many people have a grain-free diet and they have amazing health. There is nothing in grain that we cannot get from other sources. And I've seen a lot of people have a grain-free diet and they look and feel and perform amazing. But again, this is also, we got to remember that there's not a one size fits all approach. So I will never say that there's one way for everybody because we're all in our own ecosystem. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, now we're on to the oils, the fats. This is one thing that I don't really budge on. I feel pretty strongly about the dangers of these industrialized polyunsaturated fatty acids. That's what PUFA stands for. So, and I'll tell you what those fats are. But all of these things, and there's a whole lot more I didn't put on this list, but all of these things can be attributed to or get worse when we have a diet high in those industrialized seed oils or PUFAs. What are those oils? They are the 3 S's and the 3 C's. Sunflower, safflower, soybean, corn, canola, cottonseed. Cottonseed oil is the oil that they use to make Crisco. In fact, Crisco stands for crystallized cottonseed oil. It was a waste oil. It was never even meant to be used for human consumption. It was a byproduct of the cotton industry, and it was a waste oil. And they were trying to figure out what can we do with this oil? There's got to be some way of not just wasting it. Oh, we might as well just put it in food, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. These oils are highly inflammatory. They break down easily. They're heavily heat treated. They can be have heavy metals in them. They're often stored in plastic bottles, which makes them even more toxic. You got to stay away from them. And this is another one, when people give these oils up, almost every person that has been consistently doing that will say, oh my God, I feel so much better. So you got to read labels. This is the one thing. And when I learned about this, I actually learned about it from an ex-boyfriend who was really savvy in the whole functional medicine stuff before I ever knew about it. And he was telling me about this, and I was so bummed because I was reading the labels on like my favorite hummus brands, and they started getting rid of the olive oil and making them with canola oil or sunflower oil or soybean oil because it's cheap. And that's why they use it. It's cheap. So you got to read your labels. I encourage people to make their own dressings. You can make some really tasty, yummy dressings. I use balsamic glaze, and I put this in all my new client welcome packages. They all get a bottle of it because it is one of the best ways to dress your salad, and you don't even have to use oil. Find alternatives. So this is key. You've got to be able to, like, if you have certain things that you just know you got to have, you've got to look for the alternative so that you can be successful. And we'll talk about some of those things. It's important that you make it a mindset and a standard. So I am like, I will not eat those oils. If someone gets a basket of fries for the table, I might eat one. That's as far as I'll go. I might eat one fry, and then it's like, nope, that's it. I'm not going any further. I will go to great lengths to not eat things that have those oils in them. And you can do it. It's very, very doable. It just takes intentionality. You got to have know your go-to brands, things that, where you can get the things you like. So here's some brands. So Primal Kitchen and Chosen Foods, these two here, they make dressings, and these are made with avocado oil or coconut or olive. I think it's mostly avocado oil. Siete brand, they make all kinds of chips and tortillas. So they're made with cassava flour, almond flour, coconut flour, various flours. And they're not only made with healthy oil, because they're made with avocado oil, but they also have the grain-free chips. They also do have corn chips, and they have potato chips, all of them made with avocado oil. I love, love, love this brand. Their tortillas are great. They work really well for tacos, but you want to brown them a little bit if you're going to use them for tacos. Mary's Gone crackers. So they're crackers, obviously. I love Mary's Gone crackers, but they're spendy, so you got to look for them on sale. I usually wait till Natural Grocers has them on sale, and then I'll get like 10 boxes because they're really expensive otherwise. But cheaper than that are the Edward and Sons crackers, and these are also at Natural Grocers and most of the like healthy grocery stores. And they're much more affordable. In fact, they had them on sale today. And then the Lundberg plain rice stackers. These are literally just rice. Like they could not be cleaner. I mean, it's as if you're still going to have a little bit of grain in your diet. These are great, super clean. So those are just some go-tos. Okay, and then protein. So eating more protein. This is probably the thing that is the hardest for the clients that I work with the functional medicine doctor that I work with. It's tricky to get. She wants people to get 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. And so for people who are like 150, 170 pounds, that's a lot of protein. When people struggle, what we kind of come down to is like, all right, we need to at least get them to 100 grams a day of protein. Protein has a thermogenic benefit. So when you eat protein, you actually burn more calories to process protein. So right away, it's got a metabolic benefit just to eat protein, but we need it. So protein is involved in almost every, cellular function that happens. It's really important that we're getting enough of it for our body to function, for all the body systems to function ideally. And protein is really important if we're trying to heal, if we're sick, if we're injured, if we're trying to heal. When you get enough protein, you feel less hungry and you have less cravings because the brain will know that the body has been well nourished when it's gotten enough protein. But if there's not enough protein, the signal to the brain is just eat more. And so a lot of people will just be snacking all day because they're hungry and they have cravings. And it's just because they're not getting enough protein and their brain is like, we need more, but it's not really clear that we need more protein. The signal is just eat more food. And that's why a lot of people struggle with weight gain. You can get 45 to 50 grams of protein in 6 ounces of meat or fish. So just kind of keep that in mind. 6 ounces would be, a good amount to have like if you're going to have 2 meals a day. And many people do just have 2 meals a day. You can have a smaller amount of protein and have it for 3 different meals. You get 16 grams of protein in 2 eggs. So just to kind of give you some guidelines on protein. And then the picture here didn't show up, but this is a protein powder that I really love. It's bone broth based, so it's really clean. A lot of protein powders have common allergens in them. They can be made with different like legumes, like peas. They have rice protein. They might have some kind of nut or seed in there that can have an allergenic effect. So this is the protein powder that I like. It's from Designs for Health. And if you scan the barcode and then you can use MetoFix as a coupon code and get 10% off. at Designs for Health. And it's a really clean protein powder from a company that is really top notch. They are all about quality and third-party testing. I love everything from them. So be careful. Not all protein powders are created equal. A bone broth-based protein powder is going to be highly absorbable by the body, and much better for your gut. Okay, so like I said, no one size fits all approach. So we really want to be thinking about, so the basics. So whole foods that a caveman would recognize. So I love, this is a picture from one of my clients. She was so proud of herself because she learned how to prep and how to do these prepping hacks, so that when she was like ready to make a meal, she didn't have to think, oh, well, what do I have to cut up? And it's going to take all this time. When she did food prep, she would prep enough for multiple meals throughout the week. And she took a picture of her fridge and she showed me, here's my fruits, here's my veggies. And when I'm ready to like make something, I can just like grab a handful of each thing and I can make a veggie saute, or I can make an omelet. Or I can make, some soup or whatever. So whole foods, unprocessed. Fiber. So fiber is in all of this. It's in all of these plant foods that you're eating when you're eating a whole foods diet. Meal planning is really, really helpful. I will send you, for signing up for this, I'll send you a 1-week paleo meal plan. I'll email that to you, and that's just my gift to you for signing up for the masterclass. And then convenience hacks. So I actually have a whole module when people join my program on Trader Joe's convenience hacks, because let's be honest, sometimes we're just really, really busy, right? Like we have every intention to eat healthy and to meal prep and plan, but things just get away from us. We've got kids that are in sports. Maybe we have parents that are aging. We're pulled in a million different directions. So I actually curated a list of things from Trader Joe's that meets all of my standards for healthy food. And so having those convenience hacks, like going through and like reading the labels and making a list of all the things, oh, I can pick up this soup and I can get these turkey patties and I can get these salmon patties or whatever. And then food prepping for the win when you have the time to do that. I just think that's such a huge key for success. Okay, now this slide is super busy. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time. You're going to get all of these slides. So I will send the recording. I'll also send a PDF of all of the slides. So if you want to print this out, you can. This is just, if you're like, people are like, well, what am I going to eat if I'm trying to not have bread or rice or pasta, if I'm trying to eat grain-free, what can I have? And so this is a long list of things that you can have and ways to do things without those starchy carbs that we're so used to having. We just get so stuck with, I have a sandwich for lunch every day. Like that's just what I have. Like, I don't know what else to have. Well, there's all these different ideas for lettuce wraps. There's all these different ideas for salads. There's these different like ideas for sautés and soups. And I didn't even have a room for a column on eggs, but you can do so many fun egg bakes and egg frittatas and get all kinds of veggies in there, and they're delicious. And you can, pre-cook a big thing and then freeze it in individual portions so that it's just easy to pull out of the freezer and heat up. So you'll have this slide available. And then some other kind of go-tos for protein. So these are things that my son and I do. He actually did this with the whole chicken last, and it was so great because we had this huge amount of chicken just in the fridge, ready to just like take it and throw it into a saute or make it into tacos or taco salad. But you can cook a whole chicken in the Instapot. And if you don't have an Instapot, I think they're great. I actually am making my yogurt in mine right now. I use it all the time. I think it's super great for convenience. And you can cook a whole chicken in there, and you've got like all of that meat that you can eat off of for the rest of the week. It's wonderful. I love doing Thai seasoned grilled chicken or ground turkey, and sometimes I'll do like an extra large batch, and then I'll freeze it in like 4 or 6 ounce servings, and then I can take it out and I can put it in lettuce wraps. I can make Buddha bowls, which Buddha bowls are like my all-time favorite. I can put it on a salad. So they're really, really versatile. The Thai seasoning just kind of goes with everything. Same with the Greek seasoning. You can do Greek seasoned grilled chicken or ground turkey. I like to add a little sumac if I'm making it Greek, because that just kind of adds a little more Greek flavor. But you're just basically marinating it with Greek seasoning and olive oil. And I'll have a recipe for my Thai seasoned Buddha bowl as well. Super easy and so delicious. And then again, you can just freeze some, pull it out. I had Buddha bowls 3 days in a row. Didn't even have to freeze it because it was so delicious. I just wanted to keep eating it. But you can do all kinds of fun things with making just big batches of these meats. You can do the same with Mexican meat, and then you can make taco soup. You can make taco salad. You could do a taco omelet, taco lettuce wraps. You can even do spaghetti squash taco style. So really easy to do these, make these meats in extra large batches and then have all of these different, opportunities, different ways to eat them. And then sausage seasoned ground turkey. So I cook up ground turkey and I put in like rosemary and thyme and sage and like onion, garlic, and it kind of has a sausage sort of flavor. And then you can have that and add it to eggs. I made a butternut squash soup and I put this sausage seasoned turkey in it. So delicious. You can put it on salads. So this is a way, just a hack for protein batch cooking. And then how to build a Buddha bowl. So these are one of my favorite ways to eat. You can use what you want, omit what you don't. A lot of times I don't add legumes and I don't add grain. So mine are just vegetables. I'll have some kind of a base, like maybe a cauliflower rice, and then I'll have roasted veggies. I may have some arugula, typically have some kind of a protein, and it might be eggs. And then any number of different sauces. You can find all of these sauces on Pinterest. You can just type in and find all kinds of really yummy Buddha bowl sauces. And then always some fresh veggies. So Buddha bowls are really fun and super delicious. Okay, exercise. So I don't have very much time left, so I'll try to roll through this. So I have 9 minutes. Exercise is also really important for metabolic health. And so it's going to help improve our insulin sensitivity. It helps our immune function. It helps balance our nervous system. Both of those are actually really key to having healthy metabolism. We are going to metabolize fat typically when we exercise, especially if we try to exercise in combination with a little intermittent fasting or reducing our carbs. So simply eating the way that I just described and also exercising, your body is going to get better and better at using the fat on your body to burn for fuel. And exercise has epigenetic effects, which means that exercise has positive effect on your epigenome, meaning that it actually positively affects your genes. And it actually lengthens the telomeres on our chromosomes, which is a measure of longevity. So you want to do ideally exercise that includes something aerobic, like walking, cycling, some kind of aerobic class, dancing and whatnot, pickleball, strength training. And so something that's going to be more based on just building muscle. Muscle is the currency of longevity. We really need to be building muscle. I'll show you some little convenience hacks that I do. High intensity interval training. You can find high intensity interval training videos on YouTube. There's thousands of them. You can type in, beginner 10-minute HIIT training and get just a 10-minute training video for a beginner. There's lots that you can use whatever keywords you want to get workouts that will work for you. And you just do them in your home, do them in your living room. Something is always better than nothing, even if all you have time for is to step outside and walk to the end of your street and back. Just do something to move your body and celebrate every effort. You've got to celebrate, even if you don't do what you think you should do, but you move at all, you need to celebrate that because you build on those small successes over time. And positive reinforcement and positive energy is going to push you forward. Whereas if you're negative, if you're beating yourself up, if you're living with guilt, it's never going to push you in the right direction. So we've got to be really celebrating our efforts and not the outcome. We got to practice consistency, oftentimes convenience, and we've got to be committed to our why, to our vision of what we really want for ourselves. Okay, so here are my hacks. My son took these pictures of me earlier today, and yes, I am a total nerd. But this is what I have to do to make it work in my own lifestyle. So while I am waiting for my water kettle to boil, because I'll have coffee and tea throughout the day, and so I'll do handstands in front of my fridge, working all of the muscles in my upper body and my core. I bought one of these chin-up things that you put in a doorway. It requires 0 screws or nails. It literally just works on physics, and you put it in your doorway. And so I can do all kinds of things with my chin-up bar. You can find these used on eBay or Marketplace and not have to pay much at all. A great way. And you can put a little stool underneath it so that you don't have to, you can do all kinds of things with a little support. I'll do air squats. I happen to have 2 full jugs of milk. So I took those out of the fridge and added a little bit of weight, but you can do air squats. You can do lunges in your kitchen. Here I am using my rack to do some lower ab crunches by pulling my feet up in front of me. So, this is me finding little ways throughout the day to work my body and to build muscle. You can do lunges while you're brushing your teeth. You can, while you're watching TV in the evening, which most of us do a little bit, maybe instead of scrolling on your phone, you could be doing some lunges. You could be doing some planks. Like there's all kinds of ways that you can weave in little bits at a time, ways to give your body a little workout and build muscle. Okay, so 3 things that I feel like in my experience with clients in the last 4 or 5 years since I've been working in this field, the 3 things that seem to derail progress the most are having an imbalanced nervous system, meaning you're in your fight or flight. You're just like in that kind of jacked up, high stress state. You have a dopamine dependency on processed food, or you have dysbiosis in your microbiome. So dopamine dependency means you have gotten so used to using those processed foods to stimulate your brain and to feel a sense of pleasure that without them, you feel really like lethargic or depressed, like you're really needing those processed foods to give you that dopamine hit. Dysbiosis meaning the diet that you've been eating has potentially created an imbalance in your microbiome, favoring those bacteria that want you to eat more carbs. So these 3 things I think are commonly what hold people back and derail progress. I don't have time to go into all of them tonight, but I can touch on a couple. So stress is huge. It is huge, huge, huge. And I have seen it be the one thing that has stood in the way of people getting the results they're looking for. They're exercising, their diet is completely dialed in. They're doing everything right, but they are chronically stressed. And that chronic stress leads to chronic high cortisol, which increases your body's tendency to want to just hold on to fat stores. We've got to learn how to manage stress. We've got to learn how to let it go. We've got to learn how to just be present. We've got to learn how to breathe. We've got to learn how to quit trying to solve everything in the moment. Like we can only do what we can do right now. We've got to quit spending time focusing on things that are a week away or thinking about things that are already done and past and gone. So we've got to stay present. Staying present is an essential skill, and it can be honed, and it takes practice to shift into that fully being in the moment, fully present. Because if you're fully present, you're not thinking about the future or the past. And in the present moment, everything's fine. It's truly fine, but we spend so much time borrowing stress from the future. So practicing strategies to shift into the rest and digest side of the nervous system, which is the parasympathetic. Breath work can do that. I have a beautiful breath work coach friend that lives in Germany, but she's French, and she does breath work coaching, and she's amazing, and she has changed my life with what she does. I love, love, love breath work. Heart math, I'm a heart math practitioner, so I do a combination of breath work and kind of thought retraining and various things to help people shift into the parasympathetic. And we actually use biofeedback mechanism so that you can actually see in the moment how, where you're at in your nervous system. A practical tool you can start tonight is 11-second breath cycle. So this basically means that you're breathing in for 5.5 seconds. You're breathing out for 5.5 seconds. And there is magic to that formula. There's magic to that cycle. James Nestor writes all about it in his book, Breath. It's a fantastic book, fantastic. I learned so much in that. And so, yeah, just taking 5.5 seconds to breathe in, 5.5 seconds to breathe out. And if that's hard, that means you need to practice. It means you need to really make an effort to practice to where it's not so hard. You can be doing the deep breathing and cultivating or activating a feeling of love, appreciation, or gratitude, and also focusing on your heart center. And all of those things combined really have a magic to them, and they really help get you out of that fight or flight and into that state where you can be more in your parasympathetic and the rest and digest. And that's where the body can heal. And that's where the body can release weight. Sleep is super, super important. As I said earlier, if you sacrifice sleep every once in a while because you need to exercise, that's okay. But if you're doing it chronically, what's going to happen is you're going to not be getting sufficient sleep over time, which is going to lower your ghrelin. Or no, you're going to not get enough sleep. It's going to increase your ghrelin levels, which make you hungry. And it's going to lower your leptin levels, which is going to make you not feel satisfied after a meal. So you're going to feel hungry all day, and you're going to have lower levels of satiation after eating. Whereas if you're giving yourself 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep, you'll have normal or lower ghrelin, which makes you have a normal appetite throughout the day, and higher leptin levels, which will help you to feel more satisfied after eating. So we've really got to understand how sleep affects these hunger hormones. And I don't know about you, but if I have a night, like I've had a couple times where I've had like that crazy like insomnia where you basically just don't sleep at all. Like you maybe get 1 or 2 hours, and all day long, it's like all you want to do is eat. It's like this survival thing. It's like you didn't get enough sleep, so I guess you should like use food instead. It's terrible. It's a terrible feeling. Okay, so another testimonial. So I talked about one of my clients that was exercising like mad. I mean, she was doing HIIT trainings 5 times a day. She was going out for like 5 or 6 mile hikes. She was lifting weights. She was doing all of it. And she could not budge her weight. She was at approaching 160, and she could not, but it would not budge for like 15 years, as hard as she worked. She sent me this message, and this has been a few months ago now. I hit 140. She said, my goal was 140, so I'm just going to celebrate now. I just want to thank you for this program. It has helped in so many ways. So she actually, I just reached out to her yesterday, and she's now down to 131.7. So she's like, she's like that. I surpassed what I even thought I would get to. She's like, I didn't even want to dream of getting past 140. And now she's at 131.7. And she feels amazing. And it's a perfect weight for her height. She's not too thin or anything. And she's very healthy, and she feels amazing. So I love seeing that. So keys for long-term maintenance and success. So we've got to be consistent with whatever we're doing. We've got to find ways to make it consistent, because sometimes we fall off the wagon, one time, and oh, well, and then it's just like, then the next time it happens and you're like, oh, I'll get back to it next week, and then you start putting it off, and pretty soon you're kind of out of the habit. So we've got to be consistent. We've got to make it a habit, even if it's just you just have time to put your shoes on and go around the block. You do something. Make small, manageable changes over time and celebrate small wins. This is so key. We do not want to overload ourselves with too big of goals too soon. We've got to ease our way into it, and then pat ourselves on the back and give ourselves high five in the mirror, because it's hard to make change, and we need to be celebrating every little effort along the way. Don't wait until some big long-term lofty goal. Celebrate every day that you show up for yourself. Habits take time to build, so we've got to remember that it takes time. We've got to keep consistent with our efforts, and find things that we can do that we can do regularly, and they're fairly easy to follow through. Ways to track. So if you want to be tracking things to get a sense of your metabolic health, I really encourage tracking your blood sugar. You can get a glucometer for like 20 bucks on Amazon. And this will give you an idea of, you can check fasting. You can also check like an hour or 2 hours after meals and get a sense of, is your blood sugar spiking with certain foods? Are you getting to a nice low number in the 80s with fasting? You can get various apps like MyFitnessPal or different apps to track things. I have an Aura ring. I use my Aura ring to track. And then just various types of smartwatches. Whoop Band is another one that gives you a lot of biometrics, like Aura ring. You can go out and do a Cooper 12-minute walk test to get an approximation of your VO2 max, which is the best indicator of your aerobic fitness. And then you can ask your doctor for regular labs. In my program, I have a whole module where I talk to people about, what labs really do you need to ask for? What are the key labs for just understanding ideal metabolic health? All right. So, yeah, so this is, this is the kind of toward the end of the program. And so, if you're here, I'm guessing you want to improve your metabolic health. And so I would ask you, are you ready? Are you ready to stop worrying about whether you'll ever lose the weight? Are you ready to stop worrying that you're never going to have the energy you want? Do you want to break free from cravings, from habits that haven't been serving you well? Do you want to feel good in your skin? Do you want to like what you see in the mirror? Do you want to be confident and strong? And do you want to stop wasting mental energy trying to figure out how to do it on your own? Because that's the frustrating part. It's like some people, it's like, I know people like, I'll do anything, I'll do whatever it takes to get my health back. But I'm so overwhelmed with what I'm supposed to do because there's all these inputs and all these people telling me different things. Like I don't have the bandwidth to figure out what to do. So you could be like, oh, looks like my pictures aren't showing up here too. You could be like some of these people that I've worked with. So Carly was a breast cancer survivor and she did my program. She was also a half marathon runner and she was doing everything she thought was the right thing to lose weight and it just wasn't budging. And so she started my program looking with this is her pre-picture and this is her post picture and this is what she looks like to this day. And it's been like 3 years. She feels amazing. She's like, I had no idea all the things I was doing that weren't right for my body. And she's like, now I know exactly how my body functions best and how to fuel it and how to keep it healthy and strong. Melissa, I mean, she's just a rock star. She lost over 80 pounds and she feels amazing. She gets in tears talking about how much the program has meant to her. So this program worked for her when nothing else did. That's Melissa. Another client, Jackie, she's like, I've done so many weight loss programs. This is the first one that actually made sense. Corey says she couldn't believe how simple it was. Babette, she lost she lost 20 pounds and she was the one that was regularly exercising, and had a fairly healthy diet. And then Anne, yeah, she had just tons of improvements in her health and pretty rapid weight loss over the course of the program. So I feel like, if you're wanting to improve your health, you absolutely deserve it. You deserve abundant health. Everyone deserves to have abundant health. So my question is, do you feel hopeful? Do you feel like you can have it? Because honestly, if you have hope, and we combine that with my expertise, you could have amazing success. And I see it over and over and over. So if it's something that you think would be helpful, even just to chat about it, feel free to scan this QR code and we can set up a free wellness strategy call. It's just a chance to hop on the phone, no cost, no pressure, just to talk more about what does it look like. I've got 3 different versions of my program to meet different needs and different budgetary limitations. So we can chat all about that. And for my trailhead package, I'm offering $50 off. So this is my group package where you're getting all the secrets, the food plan, the weekly group coaching, community support, recipe book, and a ton more resources. I mean, just tons and tons of resources. I put 3 years into building this program. And the normal cost for the program with the one-on-one coaching is $22.97. So I give you everything. It's just without the one-on-one coaching, but still with the group coaching. And so you get all of this for $447 with the $50 off. So this is a great opportunity to get all the secrets, to get the whole plan. And I'm going to launch a group in January. So anyone who wants to start sooner is welcome to, but I'm hoping to launch a group cohort of everybody starting together in January. So it'll be kind of fun. It'll have a little bit more of a sense of camaraderie, even though there's still camaraderie in the way that it's designed now. So yeah, so that's what I call my trailhead package. And so if that's of interest to you, you can scan this code and use the code Trailhead50 to get $50 off of that. Already really low cost for, and also when you join my community, you have lifetime membership. So I always tell people, your success for life is my priority. And so that's why everybody gets into my community for life. So yeah, that is what I wanted to share. I hope that that was helpful. I hope you got some nuggets and things that you can use and put into your daily practice. So with that, I will just ask if there's any questions, and if not, I'll let you go enjoy your evening. All right. Oh, looks like maybe there's one in the chat. Oh yeah, thank you, Misty. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Have a lovely evening. And is that Deborah? I won't, you don't have to say anything, but I just wonder if that's Deborah. Okay, well, I will let you guys both go unless there's no questions. But thank you so much for joining, and feel free to reach out. You can go to my website at heartwellnesscoaching.com, and there is a way to contact me. You can message me through there. You can also set up a discovery call through my website. And if you want to just direct email me, it's Angie@heartwellnesscoaching.com. So yeah, thanks so much for being here, and I will wish you a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.